For the fight in New Jersey, I don't really think this is what you had in mind necessarily, but 5 weeks later, what brought this about?
The card, I guess the 161, the whole card went to crap, and they needed somebody to save it, and they called Roy Nelson.
Is there any hesitation on your part?
No. I'll fight anybody in the world.
I don't know if Stipe is exactly the level of opponent that you wanted for your next fight. Was there any thought about that, saying like, well, I don't know if that's who I want to fight?
No, Stipe's in the UFC, and I was told by Dana White that they're the best in the world. So.
What do you think of Stipe's wrestling and the pedigree that he has there?
I think Stipe went to college with wrestling, and he's in the UFC, so you definitely have to have some type of wrestling. So I think he has. He took I think every opponent that he's had, that he's fought in the UFC, he's taken down. So definitely Stipe is a tough wrestler. I think but we're in the MMA business, so he has to have mixed martial arts.
Do you think the fact that he's coming off of a loss and he was previously undefeated makes him any more hungry to come after you and try to get that upset for himself? I
think anybody coming off a loss is usually probably the strongest that they'll ever be, is coming off a loss, just off the pure fact that he's coming off a loss, and I think he's even had a couple months, longer than a usual, like 3 or 4 months between fights. So I think he's, it's going to be the best Stipe anybody's ever seen.
Had you watched him before you got this fight book?
I watch everybody in the UFC. I watch every heavyweight from, you name every organization out there from, I watch every heavyweight, because you never know who's coming after you.
What were your impressions of him then? I know he lost his last one, but he was a pretty hype prospect before that. What did you think of him?
He was undefeated. He was in the UFC, so I was like, this boy has to be good. He's knocked a lot of guys out. He pushes the pace, takes people down, and he knocks people out. So I just look at all angles that he's going to be good at.
He's also a wrestler and a baseball player. Any similarities there with you?
I used to play baseball, so I think it's kind of the same. It's good hips from when you gotta have baseball, good hand-eye coordination. So I think it just coordinates as well with mixed martial arts.
What do you think about the way that he kind of chose not to embrace jiu-jitsu, and he spoke out about that, saying it didn't matter before his last fight?
I have no idea. Usually guys just want, it's a good, plug for you guys in the news, when they say, no, jiu-jitsu sucks or something like that. It's kind of like Dave Harmon saying it, or I think it's just good.
You've likened yourself to Barry Sanders of the Detroit Lions in interviews, saying that you play in the big game, but you weren't sure if you'd ever get to the big game. What do you think you need to do to really get that title shot?
You know what? The best way to do it is to be undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. You have to fight everybody. I think that's really the goal, instead of fighting everybody 4 or 5 times. I think Kane's already fought, since he's been champion, he's already fought the same guy twice, or 2 guys twice. So undisputed would be kind of like how GSP's gone through the whole division, and then after he's gone through the division, go, okay, we'll go back through it again. That's kind of undisputed, not where you hit the same guy 3 or 4 times. The way I look at it, with the UFC, there's 25 guys. Let's go through all 25 of them, and that's why our division's so rare. Is anyone can win. That's the beauty of. This isn't boxing where, hey, let's set it up for 30. I can get 30 matches by doing scrubs, and then let's do the big one, and then 30 matches, and then let's do the big one. It's like once you're in the big, the big league, it's like football. They'll go 0-16, but then next year win the Super Bowl. It just resets every year, because it's a rebuilding year. You got different things, you got different people in place, you got different coaches, you got different people surrounding you that makes you better. You got more money to pay for things or whatever it is. It's just, in our business, anything can happen, and that's what I love about the UFC. That's why that's why people watch me. It's because one punch, you never know what's going to happen.
Also, Daniel Cormier, he had said after the conference call comment came out that he had turned down the fight with you, that he was actually not cleared to take a fight at the time. What would you think about going after Cormier, maybe in your next fight after you get a new contract?
I think the Cormier thing, I think that's a little weird, since either Joe Silva or the UFC is retarded, and they don't get a thing of who's cleared and who's not. because I wouldn't even bother calling a guy if he wasn't cleared. So I'm assuming they got their ducks in a row, and they called him and said, "Oh, that guy's cleared, so let's call that guy." That's usually like, I mean, we're talking about $1 billion company. I don't think they're that idiotic.
How much would
But they don't have the smartest guy running.